Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the Gyro Step Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts, Ty Windisch. I am joined as always by the prepared Rohan Katti. Rohan, how's it going?
Doing well. This is an early morning pod for us, so those usually mean that I'm the one getting roasted. But I'm surprised you didn't this time. I'm glad. I'm doing it to myself now, but because I look tired, I feel like I sound tired. But we're here. We're ready to talk Bucks basketball because it has been a good weekend of Bucks basketball. But before we get into that, make sure you're subscribed on your podcast platform of choice. 5-star review wherever you can. We'll read out a review at the end of the show. Subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the Substack, all that good stuff. Ty, let's get into it.
Let's do it. I think there's one thing we almost have to start with, but we'll talk about the Bucks playing good basketball first, because that was so refreshing and nice to see. Solid, just strong wins on back-to-back nights to start off the West Coast trip against the Blazers, the Blazers just traded away their second and third, maybe, best players as currently constructed, at least two of the top four, depending on how you feel about Anthony Simons and ruling out Dame, who has not played in a while, to the Clippers, and they didn't even have their return yet. So the Blazers win. Sure, you probably should be able to take care of business against CJ and friends, but the Clippers win I thought was legitimately impressive. The third quarter was strong. There was a fourth quarter run. I think Grayson Allen missing that game meant like they were just the bench was so depleted with Pat and Bobby starting that it kind of made sense to me that the Clippers went on a run, especially because that's just a team of guys who can make legitimately tough shots, and those teams
and a very, very well coached team as well.
A very well coached team, and I think there was a lot more Norm Powell in the second half, and we know how Norm Powell plays against the Bucks. But they won. They came back and won. They put in the good players, and they won by a lot. So, before we get to Greg Monroe and Greg versus Boogie and all this other stuff, what were just your thoughts on the basketball over the weekend?
I thought it was fun. It was really funny that they put up like exactly 137 points in both games, which is just it's insane. It's the same number, and also a consistently high scoring output. Like, I get it. The Blazers aren't a good defensive team. Like, we can throw out the Blazers. The Clippers game was what was very, very impressive to me because they're a very well-disciplined team who has very good defenders and who are playing above their level. Like Marcus Morris Sr., I tweeted this yesterday. He has no reason to be as good as he is offensively and defensively. There's absolutely no reason he should be this good, but he is, especially with their top two guys out, Kawhi the entire season, Paul George the last couple of months, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer. They're still holding strong because of players like Marcus Morris, because of guys like Terrence Mann, well, less so of late, but in general. And now they add guys like Norman Powell and Robert Covington to an already strong squad. Like Zubac is always going to play fundamental basketball. It's a very, very good team. It's a good team of role players. It's almost like their Clippers team from before they got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, it sort of feels like. But that's what was very, very impressive to me. They were able to dissect multiple looks. They were able to attack in multiple ways and still put up insane scoring output. And give it, a lot of that is hot shooting. Like Pat Connaughton going 4 or 5 from 3 in the third quarter, including one where he's falling down in the corner. Like, okay, you can't expect that on a regular basis, right? But it's the way that don't look at me like that. It's the way they're getting those shots. It's a lot of guys being great playmakers, making good decisions. Like Drew Holiday was dishing out 13 assists last night, and he was hitting his step backs. Everything was going for him. And it's just like, okay, this team is starting to figure it out a bit. And we'll talk about it in a little bit more later. But Bobby Portis, like you mentioned earlier, he's really starting to thrive now because of an actual center being on the roster. It's wild how that works. But just overall, my thoughts on the weekend is, one, it was really, really fun to see the Bucks just dominate teams again. We haven't seen that in a little while now. And two, it's nice to see them do that in the manner in which they did.
Yeah, and I think on top of it just being enjoyable, fun games to watch, Also, like whenever you can start out a West Coast trip with it's a back-to-back West Coast trip starter, you win both of them. It's just nice. Like it's some
West Coast trips are now easy.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I think the Lakers game tomorrow. I think I'm going to stay up for it just because I think it's going to be fun. The Suns game, I might sleep through the Suns game. I don't know how fun that'll be. But although if the Bucks continue to
get some PTSD.
Yeah, I mean if the Bucks continue to play strong against contenders, that might be an awesome game. But in addition to starting off the West Coast trip on the right foot, Bucks are now again half a game outside of first in the Eastern Conference. So there's still so much at play. The East is insane. The top 5 teams are a grand total of 1.5 games apart. And that does not include the Nets, who I think we'll get to the Nets a little bit later when we get to trade deadline chatter in general terms, not for the Bucks. But hilarious. They are tied in record with the Celtics and Raptors. And like, have they been beat up? No, I'll wait. I need to get to some serious Buck stuff before I laugh at Brooklyn for 5 straight minutes. Let's talk about Moose versus Boogie. This has been...
let's talk about Moose.
Yeah, let's talk about Moose.
We haven't talked about him since he's been signed. The Bucks signed Greg Monroe to a 10-day contract, which also just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did.
I don't think anyone was really expecting that. What day was that? Friday that he signed? Yeah, he signed Friday.
Yeah.
No,
he signed Saturday. It was Saturday, in advance of the first game.
Yeah. So he signed Saturday, coming back to this franchise after this is it's weird. It's sort of how you can tell whether Bucks fans, when they join like the fandom, it's like what they think of the Greg Monroe signing.
Yeah.
Because if you've been there for a while, you know how big that signing was. He was the biggest free agent on the market that summer. It was assumed he was going to the Lakers, he was going to the Knicks, and then no, he chose the Milwaukee Bucks. I remember just absolutely going nuts.
He's still the biggest free agent to choose the Bucks.
Not the most impactful, but he's the biggest.
But still the biggest at the time. Yeah. It's going to be really hard to top, honestly.
Yeah, it's like imagine what's a good comparison? What was that summer? Summer of 2015 or 17 when LaMarcus Aldridge chose the Spurs. It's almost like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what summer it was, but
yeah, is that a good enough comparison?
I think it's fair. I mean, you don't want to go with it's obviously not like Kevin Durant.
It's like Jimmy Butler going to the Heat. How about that?
Yeah, it's like that. It's like, and again, we're not talking about in terms of players, obviously, but Monroe was one of the top 2 guys in that class.
He was the top guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty light class, but still, the Lakers and Knicks offered him more, and he chose to play with the Bucks, and obviously, it didn't work out at all. I mean, gets flipped into Bledsoe.
In a sense.
Yeah, that year it did not work out at all. But it was a huge moment. And what's funny to me is the time he signs a 10-day is going to be more impactful to the Bucks overall in some senses, or at least their chances of winning again. Because as you mentioned earlier, they look like a whole nother team with him. I think a lot of that is just having another big man more so than having Moose in particular. But I think he's been pretty good so far, all things considered, for a guy on a 10-day who's in the G League earlier this season.
Yeah, he's looked really well coming in. I mean, our expectations of Moose were basically what our expectations of him were when he was with the Bucks in his first stint, but toned down 15 notches. You're not going to expect much defensively. You're going to expect a lot offensively, a lot of good passing, a lot of good, offensive moves in the post, and then you just whatever happens defensively happens. That's completely sort of flipped a little bit in what we've seen in these first 2 games, which is ridiculous. His strongest attributes have been on the defensive end. He has very, very quick hands, which he always has. He's always had really quick hands. And he looks so much smaller.
He is svelte, dude.
It's insane. Moose used to be thick. He is not thick anymore.
No.
Which credit to him.
Yeah, he must have worked his ass off, dude. He looks like an entirely different human. He looks like, and he kind of is now, the rim running bigs we wanted the Bucks to add for so long. Body type wise, that is how he looks. And that's crazy because when I imagine he's got to be down 50 pounds from peak Pistons Bucks weight. Like it's so noticeable.
It's so noticeable. Just the way his like jersey fits and everything. It's just insane. I don't want to just like talk about Moose's body forever, but like
it's a good thing though. I think
it's a good thing. Credit to him. Yeah, he looks a lot more like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Svelte.
Sure, yeah.
He's svelte.
But he looks a little bit quicker.
Oh yeah.
Like you could see that steal he had in the Blazers game, and he immediately started running in transition. Like, that's Greg Monroe.
Right.
He's out here running on the fast break. Like, what is happening here? He's looked good. He's picked his spots offensively, which has been nice. He's gotten blocked a couple times because he doesn't have lift anymore.
Yeah,
which is a little sad.
Well, he doesn't have lift or strength. I think that's the one big downside of his body transformation. He's not moving any bigs, I should say, and I think that's been the one negative, the big negative of his game, because I think he couldn't hit anything against Portland. Against LA, he was finishing shots nicely. Like if he caught it in the paint, moving toward the rim, he still got good touch and he was still able to finish.
Oh, yeah.
The post-ups have been really bad. He passed out of one once and it generated a good look that fell. But when he just tries to he tried to post up Serge Ibaka. And I mean, you talk about two guys who are not what they used to be. I mean, Serge.
It's like the Ewing, what's his name? Hakeem,
yeah, it really is. Except obviously, a scaled down version. But he couldn't move Serge at all. He could not get over Serge. He misses the first one. He grabbed the board, and I was like, okay, good hustle. Pass this out. He didn't pass that out, and it got demolished by Serge Ibaka, who again, this is not 2012 Serge Ibaka. Like he just can't finish over big guys in these post scenarios, and I do think that's probably that could be his Bucks downfall if he just keeps trying. He just needs to realize fast that and the Bucks need to realize fast, that's not his game at all anymore. And that's tough because he made all his money as a post guy. He just so far has not been able to do it. And I'm not confident he will be able to do it. I think he still has good hands on offense and defense, but he's not going to be able to finish over bigs contested shots in the paint. And I think the more he tries, the more I at least will be frustrated when get him rolling off pick and rolls, have him move in the dunker spot, set screens, crash the boards. I don't need to see him post up any more centers. I've seen enough in 2 games. That's not working. But the other stuff has been pretty good.
Yeah, he's always been a good passer in addition to his hands. I remember, I guess we'll talk about it now, but when we were talking about Boogie, the best comparison I had for him was Greg Monroe because it's his ability to pass the ball, his ability, well, at least Moose's former ability to post up guys and actually get buckets in the paint. But no, Greg Monroe, he has very good touch. He just offensively, you're right. I'm done. I don't need to see any more post ups unless it's a mismatch. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point.
I meant to add that if it's a guard, yeah, if he's got Reggie Jackson, I think, sure. I mean, just, with his hands, just spin around and drop the ball in. And he showed that he has that touch, especially in the Clippers game after a bit of rust in the Portland game. But yeah, if it's a center, there's never designed that. There's no need. There's always a better option than Moose posting up a big guy. Do anything else. Maybe not anything else, but most anything else.
Yeah, mostly.
But I will say, just defensively, because I don't just want to focus on the negatives, the way he's stuck in front of guards, especially in that Clippers game, some dynamic guards. And I remember one of the possessions I was most impressed by, he actually did get whistled for a foul on Reggie Jackson. But there was others, he stayed in front of Norm Powell. That's not easy to do for anybody, much less a legit center. And again, a smaller version, but still got center size. He's still a big dude. It's not like he's Thon Maker arms out there. He's still big. He's just less big.
Hey, don't disrespect my guy out there.
He might be next up based on the Bucks trend this season.
Let's do it.
I don't know about that. But he did follow the Greg Monroe trajectory of going to the G League first this year, so it is possible. But he just really is and you can tell he has really put work into this because the way he's doing it, very purposefully like sidestepping, arms up, not reaching in, really trying hard not to foul. And it was funny because that one he got whistled for, I thought it looked clean. Again, they didn't show replays. Just initially, I thought it looked good defense at the very least. Wes was right there when the whistle got blown, and they both reacted the exact same way. And you could tell Wes is like, I've done the same thing and gotten called so many times, Moose. Just, I feel you, bud. I get it. I understand. But it's been really, really impressive to see him work defensively. And I just think the optimized version of him would add a lot. And he's already adding a lot, I think, to the team just by being there. But the optimized version where he doesn't post up and just focuses on that stuff, legitimately, I think a good player, a good backup big. We're not getting crazy hyperbole here, but a good player.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I just thought of as you were saying that is he's the fourth player to play in both the pre-Bud and Bud era, right? Giannis, Chris, Ersan, and Moose.
Yeah, suppose I'd have to look now. Well, no, because there was a lot of guys on the team when it first turned over. Like Bledsoe
I'm
did.
saying
You mean
like
still
now.
on it?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, you can't count Ersan then.
Oh yeah, I guess. Not yet.
Only the third, I guess, to be on this team. Not yet. Yeah, we'll see. DeAndre Liggins gonna go win an MVP in Russia or whatever, and then come back.
Nah, he's playing in where's he playing?
China?
Taiwan?
Oh,
Taiwan. I think it's Taiwan. He Snapchatted me the other day. I know, it was weird.
Do you have a scoop?
It was weird.
Is it?
No,
is it
I tried.
Ticket to,
I tried.
To Mitchell?
I tried to get a scoop. No, he is not in the league.
Actually, he'd probably go to Dallas, considering we know how Jason Kidd feels about DeAndre Liggins. So let's do the debate because we've got somewhat limited time here. People are asking. The people want to know Moose versus Boogie, which I love that they have these iconic short nicknames. It's like, I don't know why, but I just get this vibe of like a Godzilla battle. Like it's like Godzilla versus whatever the other big monster. I mean, I know Mothra. Neither of them
King
are
Kong?
Mothra though. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want Joe Rogan energy on my comparison.
No.
Yeah.
No, that was just the movie that came out last year.
There's other. That's why I strictly want lizards because I feel like there's no sus implications. What?
King Ghidorah.
Yes, sure. I don't know what that is, but
it's like that
Godzilla.
three-headed dragon, dude.
Oh, okay. There's like an evil Godzilla too. He's got like some red stuff on his back or something. I don't know.
Godzilla.
Yeah, whatever. Two huge lizard things. The Moose is faster. Boogie is stronger. But people want to know, and you weighed in beforehand, but I'll let you say it. I don't want to steal your thunder, but who do you think has been better for the Bucks this year, Moose or Boogie?
I think Boogie. I think Boogie. One, he was better offensively. He was definitely better.
Yep.
It's weird. It's like a dichotomy. Like, so far, Moose has been better on defense than offense, and Boogie was better on offense than defense. It's sort of like, what do you prefer in this situation? And I guess in this situation, I would prefer to have a guy who's not going to get played off the floor because of his offensive ability. And that's likely what could happen to Moose. And again, this is for a backup big spot. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter. Like when it comes to playoff time, neither of those two, if they are on the team, are going to see time. Like significant time, right? Hopefully. Yeah. Assuming all goes well, they're not going to see the floor. Well, so this is just, not really. I think all goes well, Brooke is healthy. No,
I think depending on matchup, maybe one of them like gets a few minutes just if they need a big guy to throw at a center.
Okay. Significant time.
Yeah. Fair. So I think Boogie was better in Bucks tenure so far. And I think, I have the stats here. Boogie averaged 9.1 points, 5.8 boards, 1.1 assists, 1.4 stocks, steals plus blocks, shot 60% from 2, 27% from 3. I think Boogie's version of the bad post-ups is all the threes when it just clearly is not a good shot for him. That was his fatal flaw in offense. It dragged his field goal percentage down to like 48, I think. So on first blush, it looks like Moose was actually finishing better, but it's just that Boogie missed so many threes that he probably should not have taken. He was better from 2. In about 17 minutes, now a plus 7.7 net rating. Moose, even in the 2 nice wins, is like a plus 3. He's averaged 7.5 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, half a steal, shooting about 54% from 2. Does not shoot 3. So actually, maybe a positive. Like, don't even bother. Take out the post-ups too.
I want to see him try. I want to see him try to shoot a 3 in one of these games.
It would not shock me if he had like a random. Didn't John Henson end up shooting like 66% on threes one year because he made like 2 or 3 or something?
Oh yeah, they were all in the first game of the Bud era.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if Moose was like randomly 1 for 2 one night and then just never did it again, which I think is sick. But I think Boogie,
or if you're 1 for 2, keep doing it.
It's Greg Monroe.
I don't know. He's worked on his game.
Sometimes it's the gambler's fallacy. Sometimes you got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them.
See, I don't know that.
If you're Greg Monroe, you got to know when to fold them if you're shooting 50% from 3. That's okay. I'm done. I'm good. Boogie was better, I think, in the times played. I will say, though, it took Boogie a couple games to warm up with the Bucks, and he came from a colder spot than Moose. Moose played in the NBA this year for the Wolves and was pretty good there. He had more points, I think, there, but obviously the Bucks have all their stars healthy right now, so there's just not that many shots.
Yeah, it was him and Jalen Noel.
Right. Yeah. That was during like the real scary COVID hours, and now we just ignore it, so it's fine. Congrats, NBA, you beat it. And then he obviously played in the G League too, whereas Boogie just truly came from the couch, so I'm not expecting Moose to like double all his numbers or anything like it felt like Boogie did after his first few games, but it has only been 2 games. So, maybe that changes. My take, and if the question is who's been better so far, Boogie. If the question is who would you rather have for the rest of the season, my take is it actually kind of depends. I think the baseline of both, like the, median outcome, you'd probably rather have Boogie. I am intrigued by the high upside potentially of Moose if this defense is real. And I really hope he plays significant minutes against the Suns. I really want to see him function against that team. But I do think there's a chance he's more useful like in the playoffs if you ever need him than Boogie if this defense is like this. Like, I think a guy like that is a guy I'd rather have around longer term. But to be clear, love Boogie, would gladly take Boogie back also. Probably don't need both, but whatever. And the obvious answer is you need one of them or someone else and not no big guy because they look so much better with one. But I do think if you buy Moose's defense, and I need to see the Suns game, and I hope he plays, but if you buy Moose's defense, I don't think it's crazy to say you'd rather have him for the rest of this season.
No, it's not crazy at all because the defense has just been outstanding. Yeah. And if he's going to continue to pick and choose his spots offensively and finish the way he is, again, this is a lot to ask.
Exactly. We need more. We just need more. We've seen, 30 total minutes so far. And it's like, it's easy to look worse or better than you are in a 30-minute size. So we still only get 10 days, at least for now, but it's extrapolating a ton.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I agree. If he continues to perform the way he has been performing, he's probably a guy you would want around this team more. And it's funny, like they're both like enforcers too. It's just like you need that type of guy. Yeah. Like Boogie's obviously more demonstrative in that regard.
Yeah,
definitely more. But
how many texts does he have in Denver?
4.
Oh my God!
He's also been ejected.
Bucks?
I don't know.
Only like
he's
one
also
or
been
two,
ejected.
Jesus, Boogie. He's protesting. He wants to go back to Milwaukee.
I love him so much.
He's great. He's great. If he does stick around there, I hope he has a great season there.
Same. Always rooting for Boogie, but no, it's you can't really go wrong. Again, they're both very similar players, not in terms of the way they play, but the role that they can have.
Yeah,
which is what makes this an interesting discussion.
It's funny how much higher the hit rate has been for the Bucks on minimum guys in season versus before the season. Isn't that crazy? Like you would expect the off-season guys because you have more time to, integrate them before the year. And obviously this year was tough, but it's been tough in season too to integrate guys. The 3 guys they signed during the season, Wes Matthews, DeMarcus Cousins, Greg Monroe, have all been, two-way guys are two-way guys, but those 3 on actual NBA deals have been way better than the minimums they signed before the season, which is Rodney Hood, Shemi Ojeleye. Am I forgetting one? I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
It hasn't even been close. It's like, that's just crazy. I mean, maybe the extra time getting to see those guys play. Monroe is the only one who played anywhere before they signed him. Like, it's wild how they've added now 3 impact players. And by impact, I just mean like, fitting into the rotation, being helpful. Through
making an impact.
Yeah. Well, I feel like always just love to pick and, oh, you think Greg Monroe's an impact player? Like, yeah, he's having an impact on the Bucks. I mean, it's that simple. But it's been impressive that they've been able to add and pivot, but I'm not shocked. I do think the nice thing is, though, if you can keep Monroe for the rest of the season, let's say he continues to look this good and they give him a rest of the season, or at least another 10-day, I think it does give you more security at the deadline. Like, you're less desperate, if that makes sense. Because if they hadn't added Wes or currently Monroe, this roster is like super dire right now.
Yeah, it really is. Like, there's holes everywhere, and they've definitely needed to make these additions. And I don't know, like, it's very good that they've hit, because if they haven't hit, if they weren't going to hit, they'd be in a much worse spot than they are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Although one last note, and Wes is slumping right now. I'm still all in on Wes. I think he's smartly getting all the misses out of the way. I think it seems like it's coincided with that injury too. So I'm just going to give him some time, but he has not been good over the last 10 games or so. Offensively, defensively, he's providing the same stuff. I think it's a lot easier to look good on this team though, just because, it's the system, it's the guys in place. Even if the defense isn't the same, playing next to Giannis should be so easy, which is why it's almost unbelievable how bad Shemi Ojeleye has been. And his last game, he looked decent. He's not really played since, because it's bad. But it's just like, God, I still can't believe that flamed out so hard, man.
I can.
I know. A huge dub for you.
Yeah. I don't want to win.
No,
Let me be clear.
I know, but it is.
I know.
You clearly were right. Yeah.
It is what it is. Let's talk about what it means to have a center on the roster itself, because we talked about that earlier. You see Bobby Portis thriving right now, and it's no accident that it's because he has another center on the floor. Ty, I know this is your thing. You want to elaborate?
Yeah, the Bucks are 10-3 now this year after last night, when the big 3 plays with a center, whether it's Lopez, Cousins, or Monroe. And I was countered by saying, well, they're 12-2, I think, when the big 3 plays without a true center then, which, yeah, it's a better record. But I do think a lot of those games were in like the Orlando-y part of the schedule and everything. I think the team has looked better overall when they do have that center option. But I just think it adds so much in terms of, even if it's 15-ish minutes a game, Boogie was up to 17, but just a portion of the game when neither Giannis nor Bobby needs to be the center defensively. I think it's been really good for both of those guys. Like, were the Blazers or Clippers ever going to contain Giannis? Probably not with their personnel, but I think he looks more energized too. And defensively, I think he looks better. I think Giannis has clearly missed playing off of a center defensively and just having more size there. His weak side defense, he had a crazy block against the Clippers. He's comfortable with that. He likes that. And I do think this season is showing me Giannis's ideal position might not be 4 or 5. It might be 4 or 5. Like, even long term, he might always want to have both options. And I think that's probably worth a whole pod in itself. We don't have to dive deep into that. But I just think the team looks so much better. And it's just like, the same way we talk about adding Drew makes Chris's life easier and Giannis's and everyone below him because of the ball handling and everything. I think it's the same idea with adding a center, is like, take some of that physicality out of what Bobby and Giannis have to worry about and unleashes them to just go dominate in other aspects of the game. And I just think, I mentioned it earlier during our Moose versus Boogie thing, but they have to have someone the rest of the way. I just think it's striking, and I think if you don't, that's just like malfeasance, malpractice. It's malpractice at this point. And, I think we've let Horst off the hook on a lot of things. At this point, like, I don't care how tight the tax constraints are. Make the damn trade to dump Shemi and keep the center already, because that's clearly on the table. It's not that expensive to dump a vet min. Like, something needs to be done. And the ownership
You did it with Torrey Craig last year.
Yeah, they didn't really need to give up anything, did they? They just gave him away. They were just like, here you go. Here's Torrey Craig.
Have a Torrey Craig. There you go, Phoenix.
But it's like, if they have another run without another center, I mean, injuries or whatever is one thing. But, like, if they choose not to, that to me is on Horst. Like, we've got too much evidence now of how helpful it is. Make it happen at this point.
For sure. They have to. It's like you said, there's too many benefits. There's a clear way to do it, even while keeping the money tight. We know these owners are struggling money wise, so you gotta keep that in consideration. Obviously,
yeah, we're setting up a GoFundMe for unlikely bonuses from now on, just to make sure everything's okay.
That's good. But yeah, you have to. Like, there's no reason not to, and it benefits the team. It's not a coincidence that immediately once you sign a center, you start blowing teams out again.
Yeah,
it's wild.
And also, I think, it's a multifaceted thing to an extent. I think it being a center specifically helps. I think also it's the same. I said this when they got rid of Boogie too. Also, you just need more players coming off the bench who can do something. And especially in this Clippers game, when Grayson's out, so Pat starts. So you're starting, obviously, Chris Giannis Jrue plus Bobby and Pat. Your bench is Dante, Hood, Wara, Wes, who's in a slump, and Moose. I don't know if that changed by the end of the game, but in like when the Clippers were mounting their comeback, they got it down to like 11 or 10 or something. Moose had outscored the rest of the bench combined. And it's just like, also the bench just sucks when they're down a player or two. I did a YouTube video about this, the real problem with the Bucks. You can check it out on the Gyro Step Podcast Network YouTube. But the real problem, in addition to being super thin at center, they're just thin on useful players. And if they're down another player or two plus Lopez, they don't have enough points off the bench. Player or three, I guess. They were down Lopez, Grayson, Hill. There's just not enough scoring there. And Moose having 8 points like really mattered. Like, it's really a big deal. So in addition to needing the big because it helps, they also just need to have another player off that bench who's like, all right, this guy can come in, score 8 points on 5 shots and just do useful stuff, which is not a given with Dante, certainly not a given with Hood or Wara, or Shemi doesn't even get in games anymore. Like, it's bad out here.
Yeah, maybe we need is Linda Wigington higher on the pecking order than Shemi?
He did get into a game before him. Was that the Clippers game or the Blazers game or the last game before that?
I think both.
God, come on, man.
It's a yikes. It's such a yikes.
That is a yikes. Although, is Lindell still perfect?
No, I don't think he's perfect anymore. Oh, is he?
Yeah, no wonder.
Oh, wow.
Lindell should play over everyone. Shooting 1,000% through 5 games, nearly 20 minutes. It
would be 100%. But
well, it shows 3 zeros on Basketball Reference, so that's why it confused me. 6 shots, 6 for 6, 4 twos, 2 threes. His EFG is 1.167. Pretty good.
His effective field goal percentage.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the E word was.
I could tell when you said EFG.
EFG. This is almost as good as Pippum.
Pippum. Shout out to Crandis. Are we done with Moose Boogie? Do you want to talk trade deadline?
Yeah, let's talk trades. I just think just think it's cool in general. I think these big guys, the two big guys they've added, just some cool big guys. I hope.
Oh yeah,
either keep
it's really cool to have Greg Monroe again. Also,
it is. It's awesome to see him again, and I just everything he's done again, except for the post ups, but like the way this is gonna sound like I'm in too deep. I'm always in too deep on the Bucks. He got subbed out at one point while the camera was on him, and he like pointed toward the guy and like damn near sprinted back to the bench. And I was like, this guy is so locked in. And I mean, going the G League route to get back into the NBA during a COVID season to get 10 days for the Wolves and Bucks when you have earned $100 million, got to be close to that. It's got to be close. A lot of money, like enough money to not need to worry about this anymore.
Look at what John Henson's doing.
Yeah, exactly. You could just tweet about crypto for the rest of your life and be very comfortable. Go fishing. Like, he clearly wants this super badly. And same with Boogie, who, again, has made a lot of money and has gone through a ton. You know, Monroe hasn't had the injuries.
Monroe's made more money than Boogie.
Yeah. I mean, that Monroe got a nice contract from the Bucks. Boogie got an okay one from the Pelicans. Boogie, Monroe made more, really?
I'm checking right now.
I think Boogie would because he just was around longer and he made all those all-star teams. But Monroe they both made a good amount. It's just I just think it's cool to see.
So Greg Monroe's made over $77 million. God,
a lot of that was that Bucks contract.
I just typed in Boogie in Spotrac.
It should work. Come on, Spotrac.
DeMarcus Cousins has made 93 of it. That's way more than I thought.
He got a good second contract from the Kings, I think, and then he got another nice Pelicans contract.
No, he didn't get a Pelicans contract because he tore his Achilles.
Oh,
that's the thing. He was set to sign the Supermax. That's why the Kings traded him in his last season, and then he tore his Achilles.
Well, that second contract must have been big. Oh, yeah, it had to be big from the Kings.
It was like 15 per.
Yeah, so okay, that gets you there. But yeah, I mean, both guys who could very easily, try to go into commentary or do a podcast on Blue Wire if you want to. Hit me up, Boogie and Moose. Or just do nothing. $50 million is enough to just like invest in a couple nice index funds and sit around, and they're still doing the thing. It's impressive. Okay, trades. Let's do Buck stuff first. And we're not gonna go. We just did a trade deadline pod with Jordan Chesky, the great Jordan Chesky. Go listen to that if you haven't already. We went through a lot of options and ideas and scenarios. Let's just talk about what's the actual buzz and actual trades that have happened. So only one real bit of buzz around the Bucks has been Dennis Schroder, who the Celtics are broke and they want to dump him to get under the tax, which I think is hilarious. They might also trade Marcus Smart. I love this. There's some franchises I love to see in shambles. The Celtics are one of them. You're anti-Dennis Schroder. I'm not pro-Dennis Schroder, but here's what I want to pose to you. If the trade is simply swapping Dante DiVincenzo for Dennis Schroder, are the Bucks not better off this season?
No.
I think they are.
No, they're not.
I don't like Schroder very much, but I think they're better
Dennis
off.
Schroder commands more attention on ball, which is taking away from more players that should have the ball in their hands. For all his flaws, you shouldn't give Dante DiVincenzo the ball. Even the Bucks are starting to learn that they don't. A little bit. They've also been down George Hill and Grayson Allen, so they need someone to actually handle the ball. So Dante is somewhat that guy. The one thing he's been doing is bringing the ball up the court and immediately giving it to someone else on the wing, which has been good. Good job, Dante. Don't do more than you need to. No. I don't like Dennis Schroder as a basketball player and as a person.
I just think, it's fair. His production would be helpful. I get your case.
What production?
14 and 4
on crazy usage.
12 shots. 14 points on 12 shots.
That's not great.
35% from 3 is not great. 48% from 2 is pretty good.
It's all right. Sub 50.
How is that 3 Bucks bench players put together to get there? They need more guys who can do that kind of stuff. I cannot reiterate strongly enough. Not a fan of Dennis Schroder, on or off court. I don't think Bud is either. I don't know if this is real at all. But I do think like just putting him in for Dante and just all the same Dante
That's
stuff.
selling low on Dante.
I don't think it is at this point.
And okay, maybe not. Let's say all the rumors are true and they want to try to re-sign him in the offseason. You still get a tradable contract, which we know how valuable that is.
Not if the guy is bad. Not if the guy is bad.
It's still better value than Dennis Schroder. Come on.
Just let him leave. I'm fine with that.
Sure.
I don't love it. I would rather they probably didn't do it. But and again, it depends what you're giving up. If you're giving up George Hill, I'm out. But I think if you're giving up Dante, and can you squeeze an asset out of Boston? They have a couple extra second-round picks.
Because, I don't know.
They want to get under the tax. If you get Schroder and a second-round pick for Dante.
Fine.
I don't know. I could see it. I could see him sabotaging the Bucks. I could also see him.
That's what I'm worried about because it's just... He's not been impact. Like he's put up the stats, but he's not been an impactful player.
He has been at times. I mean, the game against the Bucks, he was impactful. His career high. It would be kind of sad if they traded for him after that, because I feel like the Bucks have a bad habit of doing that. What did he put up 40 in that game without Giannis? I think. It's just insane. He does have more scoring ability. I think they need that. I would prefer it not to be Dennis Schroder, but I mean. I just don't know how many guys you're going to find who can put up 14 and 4 like numbers for basically free. And Dante's not free, but it seems like the asking price for Schroder in particular.
But that's like the one asset they have.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
But you have to. It kind of has to be him for the salaries to work is the problem.
So just don't do it then.
I mean, yeah, I'm fine. Again, I'm not clamoring for Schroder. I would not hate it off rip. I'd have to see how it plays out first.
I don't know. I'm out. I'm all the way out on Dennis Schroder.
That's fair.
All the way. Do you remember the great Jeff Teague, Dennis Schroder debate of like 2016?
2015, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When they were both on the Hawks?
Yeah. It's like, which one's going to be the point guard of the future? Turns out neither.
No. But at least Schroder is still in the NBA.
One of them's an NBA champion with Bud, though.
Fair point. Was Schroder on the team that won?
No.
Okay, it was a year after. Yeah.
And then he didn't get any offers aside from the Celtics mid-level.
I think that's telling. I think that's going to be a lot of guys now, though. Especially this next year. There's like 4 teams with cap space.
I know. He also turned down a $20 million contract extension, so I don't feel bad for him at all. Would you want to play in the Lakers? I would want $20 million per year, yes.
Fair.
I would absolutely do that. And also, if I was on the Lakers, it would never be my fault. Because, like, what do you expect?
I don't know. I think people on the Lakers tend to not like overpriced point guards not playing very well.
That's okay.
I think those players have.
I'll take my $20 million per year. I'll take that straight to the bank. But if you want to cut me. Then I still just make my money and I don't have to deal with it.
You do not have the Greg Monroe hustle. Rohan is like, I'm good. I'm not the G League. No, I'm good. I'm good, $80 million.
I gotta take the John Henson route. I'm just gonna go do whatever I want.
I'm tweeting today. I got a busy schedule. Okay, so let's talk about around the league trades then. Because that's really all the Bucks buzz right now. So the 2 deals that happened, Karis LeVert to Cleveland, and we're going to spend like a minute on each of these. For a first, a good second, a Houston second, we know firsthand those are good picks, and Rubio's contract. I don't know. I think
it's good. It's good for Cleveland.
I think it probably is, but there's a chance it's bad for Cleveland.
I mean, it's no cost. Like Rubio was injured.
But it's like that was their package for this year, though. So I think there's an opportunity cost at least.
Yeah, but I don't know who else they were going to get. Someone who's young-ish.
See, but why does the guy have to be that young?
Because this isn't the final form of this Cleveland team. You're still trying to see what you got.
But you're allowed. I don't think that Karis is going to magically develop into a core guy for them. And I think I would rather just have a better player for like the next 2 years. Even if that player is not going to be around for the second contract of Darius Garland or Evan Mobley, just to like, maybe he's a springboard and then a salary to get you to a better player who does line up with them. If I'm the Cavs, I would have rather traded like just the second in Rubio's deal for Eric Gordon or just the first. Because I just think Eric Gordon is way better. And I think
But Eric Gordon's gone after this year, probably.
I think he has another year, doesn't he?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so next year or maybe in the offseason, then you trade him for someone. He still got value. I don't think Karras is terrible, but I do wonder if he's ultimately like a roughly even assist to turnover, 20 shots, 19 points kind of guy. I just don't know if that – I know they need scoring this year. Maybe that is what they need while Sexton's out. But I don't know. And then, like, does this really just mean you're done with Sexton? I don't think Sexton and LeVert is good. I would have preferred them to spend a little less and get Gordon. I just think they're better. And, realistically, are they going to win the East? Probably not. But this year is crazy. Go get the 1 seed. Get yourself maybe to the second round. Definitely to the second round, I should say. Maybe to the third round. I don't know. I'm picking Nits. I think it's a fine trade. I don't think it shakes up the East or anything, though.
No, I think the Cavs got better.
Probably. Yeah. I think they needed the scoring. And then the other trade.
Well, I mean, you're adding talent, which just makes you better. Like Rubio again is ACL injury. He's done.
It's the Schroder thing. I think it probably makes you better. I don't think it.
I think Karis LeVert and Dennis Schroder are very different personalities.
Yeah, no, personality-wise, for sure. But I don't think
Karis LeVert is going to make people upset.
No, I just think he might not make shots, and I think you're taking away shots from guys who made a lot of shots.
Yeah, but I think Cleveland has a strong enough culture, which is wild to say already.
Yeah, I'm not worried about culture. It's just play. I don't think anything wrong about Karras off the court. Yeah. The other trade. What the hell, Blazers? Norm Powell and Robert Covington for Eric Bledsoe and Keon Johnson? And like a second round pick?
Yep.
And did they get a second too or no?
I don't think so.
Did they give a second too, or no?
No.
Why? What?
To get under the tax.
But you can't get any first round picks. And I know Keon was just drafted, but we all know it's not a 1-to-1. It's not your guy. It's just some guy who got picked in the 20s. This was terrible.
Oh, it was awful.
Those are good players.
Yeah. Dave coming to Milwaukee. Or give us Tony Snell.
They're clearly open for business. And
no. I'm kidding. Obviously, give us Larry Nance Jr.
Yeah, there you go. Give us. They'll trade both for Jordan Nwora and salary. If the Bucks had salary, they'd probably do that. Sure, why not? Can we cut off some more money? Joe Cronin, not a great start as the exec. Technically, he's temporary right now.
Interim, yeah.
I would assume you're going to let him stick around if you're going to let him make these moves, but maybe not after seeing that one. And I keep seeing people say, like, oh, we got to wait and see what he does at the rest of the deadline. Why? It doesn't matter.
Look at what Karis LeVert got. Like what the Pacers got for Karis LeVert.
But this is a standalone trade. Like he could make a great trade a day from now. That's still a crappy trade that clearly wasn't good value. Like what are they going to trade CJ for? Josh Hart, a bad first and more salary?
They might, and then give us Josh Hart.
Yeah, but I mean the real. We're talking about Schroder. I thought of this. If they buy out Eric Bledsoe.
Oh my God! Bring him to the Bucks. Bring him to the Bucks immediately.
Super sixth man, and I think there are some people who hate this idea. I think some people view Bledsoe as like emblematic of all the worst parts of the bad Bucks flameouts in the playoffs. I think as a sixth man, he would be awesome.
Yeah, I just want to see Bledsoe win a ring, man.
Yeah,
like he did so much for this team.
West? Oh my God.
George Hill.
Yeah.
Just give us Robin, please. Let him sign like a 10-day, and so he can get his ring.
We're out of time. We're gonna have to do a whole pod at some point on just the mess that the Sixers and Nets have been. But the fact that there's
Color Star,
we haven't done Color Star at all, which sucks. It's conceivable that the Nets trade James Harden at the deadline. What on earth is happening? They're in the play-in right now. What?
I don't know. It's awesome though. It's great content. Did you see the Woj and Ramona article this morning where it was like what was the conversation? So what about James? James who? Harden? No.
I typed it up in Word to do a funny tweet, but I changed it from Harden to Johnson, but Mark still says no. I don't know why, but that made me laugh. James who? James Johnson. No, he said flatly. We need Bloodsport. I'm too scared to trade him like Rohan is.
Oh, yeah. Big James Johnson guy. I love you, James.
But like my 2-second thought is like, you're so bad if you're trading Harden for Simmons. And especially
mid-season.
People are saying like, oh, he's a great compliment to KD and Kyrie. What about half the games when Kyrie isn't there?
KD's not there.
KD just looking at Ben Simmons not shooting. Oh, I'm glad we have Nick Claxton and bigger Nick Claxton around. Thank God.
I'm glad we have Jared Allen and Karis LeVert.
Just like, what a mess.
Can you imagine those two on this team, on this Nets team?
Hard to picture Jared Allen on this team.
It's wild.
Can't imagine.
They'd be so good.
And like 4 first-round picks.
Oh my goodness. And then they go and trade for like Bradley Beal.
I don't know if that helps, but I just, you absolutely do not have to feel for the Nets. Like a superstar driven.
Imagine if they traded for Drew Holiday instead. That was the big thing, right? That's what opened up the Bucks to get Drew because they got caught up with Harden.
What a shame. You know what? Hilarity. Pure hilarity.
I forgot about that until right now.
3 guys trying to run for the grind and it falling apart will never not be hilarious. Never not be hilarious. Like injury reports suck.
If you want to keep giving Bucks titles because of it, I'm fine.
Absolutely. You know what? Blow up the chemistry as much as possible. Then don't do the trade. So Ben is still sitting at home and Harden is probably also still sitting at home and Kyrie is sitting at home and KD is sitting at home. That part is sad. I do feel for KD. But Kyrie and Harden just leaving because of vaccine and disgruntlement for the 3rd straight team are hilarious. Or the 2nd straight team. Didn't really happen with OKC. But
no, that would be hilarious. But we do have to wrap this up. Say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on the Gyro Step Podcast Network and the Blue Wire Podcast Network. If you did enjoy the show, leave a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Substack, gspn.substack.com. Pod random, everyone, and we will talk to you next time.